All right, I'm going to try my best here this morning to make a literal contribution to society. But I really truly need for you to listen. Are you listening? Are you sure you're listening? You know, it's impossible for someone to hear somebody because you have to take heed to the way that you hear. I mean, let me give you an example. Suppose you have an offense in you, and the person talking is trying to give you information. Now, by design, this is the way we're all are hardwired, and you need to understand this. And it's hard to understand what we're up against if you reject spiritual warfare. So listen to me very closely. If someone is talking and you have an offense already against them, it makes no difference how minute or how great that offense may be. It makes it almost virtually impossible for you to hear those people, whoever it may be, or that person with a pure ear. Do you understand? Are you listening? Because somewhere in your mind, you've been polluted. You've been tainted. And so when you hear, you're actually listening to that person with a critical ear. And you believe that you're actually receiving information. But just think about it for a second. Think about how you are actually receiving that information. You're receiving that information through the prism of offense. Do you understand? Let's go to the next one. Let's just truth. Okay, truth. Truth. First of all, in order to understand this, let's get to this point right here. Wisdom is the principal thing. Number one, uno, numero. And all wisdom comes from the creator of the universe. And if you're going to be wise, it would be wise if you can listen to wise men. But of course, you know, in that you have to determine who is wise. And of course, if we're going to go from the scriptural perspective and viewpoint, the only people that are wise are those who not preach only, but those who live. You know, even in the renewed covenant, if you really look at it, it says, they that preach the gospel must also live. There's a dynamic in there. Just like in marriage. How in the world can someone be in a position to give marriage counsel when you have never been married? It is impossible. There's a dynamic there. There's a spiritual dynamic there. Can't be done. I'm going to try my best to reach us here this morning if you will listen and if you will hear. Now listen to me very close. The reason why we're having a truth, and all truth comes from one. That's it. Many people call him by many different names. They call him Jesus, call him Yeshua, call him Yeshua, they call him Yeshua, they call him Yahushua. Pick one. If you want to get stumbled up over the tongue and the pronunciation, which is this tongue is an unruly evil full of deadly poison, have at it. But let's go on here this morning. Listen to me very close. When you were born into this world, as well as myself, there was a system already in place. This system has been functioning for a very long time before you came into being. Being born into this world, you had to have someone to nurture and to care for you. We all assume that we have had good ethical values, a lot of good character traits, a lot of truth sold into us. But if you were like me, you fell out of the matrix, meaning your mother's womb, and you could only be as intelligent as your parents are. And if you grew up in America, in this system of corruption and this system of lies, be it social, political, economic, or religious, it's all corrupt from the word go. You have a gauntlet literally to run through in order to get to what you call truth, in order to find peace in this life. But it takes self-autonomy. And again, I go back to offense again. Listen, anytime you're listening to anyone, if you already have a preconceived idea, if you already have a preconceived notion, you have polluted your ears from hearing the actual truth. You can't hear because there's a wall, there are blocks up that is preventing you from hearing what you should hear and taking the proper action. And that's the reason why the woe is on the people who have the offense. And if you already think that you understand and know what the truth is about a certain subject, when you go into listening to it, as soon as the preacher, teacher, minister, whoever it is, begin to speak, as soon as they say one thing you disagree with, you've done nothing but wasted your time. Having an open mind is not a mind to where it's vulnerable. Because if you feel like that you listen to truth, you feel like you may be taken advantage of, you are already taken advantage of. We all have had so many lies sown to us in this life that it's amazing. It's amazing to watch the response of people when you start to come out of lies. The whole world, especially those close to you who's called family, they all look at you as if you've embarked on some type of bizarre behavior. If I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. I am convinced that this type of mindset is deeply and collectively and socially embedded in the collective subconscious mind of man. And I don't think even the creator of the universe himself can remove it. It takes independent thinking, independent thought. It takes self-autonomy, which it's sorry to say, but 99.9% of the world literally does not have. Most people are just functioning based on information that has been presented to them and truths that they have personally accepted. Do you understand? Do you understand? Truth, no matter what it is, especially on the social, political, or economic front, is not, and religious, number one, it's not truth until you accept it. Do you understand? It doesn't mean that truth hasn't always been there. It's always been there. But it didn't become real to you until you accept it. And when you accept it, it became your personal truth. And it changed everything about you, be it right or wrong truth. Now, I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but there is a truth, because there are a lot of things that people believe to be truth, and it's not. But the things that you have chosen to believe, no matter where you're at in life, you're going to eat the fruit of it. And if you have any intelligence whatsoever at all, you're going to find out just by life itself if you made the right choices and right decision. And sometimes it may take years before you realize that you have made a detour and went down the wrong path. The one thing I learned about the world hates the truth. And they're not interested in it. It's all about strategy. It's all about how can we convince you, that's what the world believes, that our strategy is superior to your truth. Did y'all hear are y'all listening to me? Are you really truly listening to me? So therefore, on a daily basis, stop walking around in this chaotic insanity of ignorance. I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. An ignorant man or woman is the most dangerous person that there is on the face of this planet Earth. And of course, and then right behind an ignorant person, the slanderer. In my book, is the second most dangerous. Well, what do you mean your book, Pastor? Don't tell me that we all don't have a book of the law. Now, my book is definitely underneath the Creator's book. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure I form my book after his book. But I don't live after my book. I live after his book. And when I say my book, I'm talking about saying words, speaking and communicating, exchange a flow of information in such a way that some way, somehow, it will stimulate thought. Because as soon as you throw these scriptures up in front of people's face, they automatically, because they have been trained and manipulated and coerced, they automatically have a defense mechanism built up in them, because they believe something is getting ready to go against their paradigm that they have already been manipulated and trained into believing, and they have not been educated because they refuse to get educated. See, education is not going and paying for somebody to teach you. The best education that there is when you have your own independent time alone, and you have information presented before you, and you make the choices and decisions and determine what's right and what's wrong, what the truth is and what a lie is. And nobody can do that for you. You have to do that yourself. And the only way you're going to know for sure if you made an informed decision, be it truth or error, is when life plays out in front of you. When you start to really truly evaluate, if you can evaluate, because most people are blinded to themselves. Most people can't see themselves. And most people automatically assume that they are the sum of all wisdom and the epitome of truth. That's the reason why when you start actually going outside of the norm, have you ever noticed that whenever you start going outside of religion, the first thing people do is they get very religious on you. And then when you try to show them what you believe based on the information, the truth that is sitting in front of you, you notice how the rejection of this truth is utterly amazing. And mind you, these people are rejecting that truth, not based on you, the person that's sitting in front of them. It's because they simply have not spent enough time independently in this word to get clear on any matter and any subject. None. And I tell you, if you want to be a man or woman of character, wisdom would teach that you would approach things one subject at a time. One subject at a time, and get clear in that subject. The majority of disagreements in the world are based on, and I'm going to say it again, they're based upon truths that you have personally accepted as truth. Not that it is the truth. It's just that you have chosen to personally accept. That's the reason why there's so much fight against it. And no amount of evidence, no amount of facts, no amount of truth that is presented to you will change or have any influence on change with you whatsoever at all. Do you understand? It will not happen. It's not going to happen. Because you have a book of law that is superior to and that is above this book. You see, your book is up here. And your book is your own personal opinion, your own personal emotions, and your own personal choices, which you do not understand because you have never spent any time checking yourself and understanding it. And that's the reason why if people abuse the Bible, religion, and religious people abuse the scriptures. But some way, somehow, you've got to wake up. I hope I've said something to help you wake up. You really, truly need to wake up. Now, I understand that when I'm telling you, you need to wake up. I'm coming from a position, I'm already woke. And even though I am awake, I'm not wide awake like I should be. I'm not going to actually put myself in that position to say I am wide awake when I'm seeing through a glass darkly. I understand that my vision is getting and is becoming more clear as the years go by. And I'm doing everything I can to make a contribution to my people. And my people are those who are born of the water and of the Spirit. Because to be born in this world after the flesh, everybody operates after the same mindset. We still have a ways to go. As an old saying goes, we have a long way to go and a short time to get there. So man, woman, if you have ears to hear, I'm a preacher of righteousness and of truth. And if you would implement, and if you would just simply start applying the principles that I'm teaching, and just make these changes, I call them necessary changes in your life, you will find out if I'm a man of truth or error. But you just can't sit back on your do nothing and think that you are the sum of all wisdom and you haven't produced anything in your life whatsoever at all. The world killed the only man that ever walked the face of this planet Earth and never sinned. And if you start walking in his vein and in his path, you better believe that the world will also murder you as well. Today we have natural secular laws against murder. The greatest murder that is being committed today is with this tongue, which is an unruly evil that is full of deadly poison. You know what's amazing to me? We have a bunch of people that are unclean, including myself, and undone, including myself. And yet the unclean and the undone people have made themselves the greatest judges of all mankind. I am utterly amazed. I personally would not suggest that you would listen to or follow anyone who cannot produce to you the evidence of the truth that they're obeying. Well, you can clearly not only, hear them, but see the influence of their lifestyle. You can tell what people believe by how they live. I said it once, I said it twice. Let me say it one more time. You can tell what people believe by how they live. Do you understand? Are you listening? They that preach must also live it. One day, and that day may come today for a lot of you, and it may be 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, but one day, all this is going to end. This whole cosmos. There's a lot of people that have already, all this ended for them already. And like it or not, there's appointed unto man to die, and after that, the judgment. And it's totally irrelevant whether you believe it or not. Hey, but remember, you chose to believe that if you do not believe it. But one day, this is all going to end. And somebody's going to be on the right side, and somebody's going to be on the wrong side. So if I were you, I would approach every day treading very carefully and put it at the forefront of my mind and my conscience that I'm going to be judged by and according to the deeds that I've done in this body while I was alive. I hope I said something to stimulate thought here this morning. Really, I really truly do. Go back and listen to this again. You're not going to get it all the first time. Nope. You will not understand all this the first time. You need to listen to this video again. Be encouraged. It's my hope.